This is the 5th video in our series of 7 that pays tribute to the men and women of the Metropolitan Police Force that have lost their lives in the line of duty. There are 21 police memorials in the London area, and we will look at each of them in chronological order, 3 per video. If I've missed any that you feel should be included, please accept my apologies and let me know in the comments. In this video, we will look at an unsolved murder in Covent Garden, the murder of an officer who was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and our first story is of an officer who became a victim to a serial killer. A word of warning. Whilst researching these memorials, I discovered many acts of appalling violence. However, our first story, the murder of Sergeant Alan King, struck me as being exceptionally horrific, and viewing discretion is advised. This is the memorial to Sergeant Alan King, who was murdered on the 29th of November 1991 in Walthamstow, E17. Sergeant Alan King was 41 years old, married, with 4 children, and was from Chingford in North East London. He was on patrol when he encountered a man unloading some suspicious goods from the boot of his car on Higham Hill Road in Walthamstow. The man, Nicholas Vernage, was already wanted on suspicion of handling stolen goods and had only been released from prison a month earlier. During his time in prison, he had developed an intense hatred for police officers and had told cellmates, "All I want is to kill all coppers." Upon his release from prison, he soon went on a crime rampage of theft and violence. A week before he encountered Sergeant King, he attacked a former girlfriend, Lorna Bogle, stabbing her to death, and then went on to murder another man, Javeed Iqbal, also stabbing him to death during the course of burgling his house. It was while staying at a flat in Higham Hill Road that Vernage became concerned about the amount of stolen goods in his car parked outside. He was in the process of unloading it when he was approached by Sergeant King. He attacked Sergeant King with mad ferocity, stabbing him multiple times, even stabbing him while Sergeant King was attempting to escape in the passenger seat of a passing motorist car. Sergeant King died shortly after arriving at hospital. Vernage and one of his accomplices, also staying at the flat, made their escape and drove to Thornton Heath, South London, and slept in their car overnight. 2 more officers, PC John Jenkinson and PC Simon Castry, approached the car the following morning and were also attacked by Vernage, frenziedly stabbing and slashing at them. Fortunately, both officers survived the attack, and Vernage was arrested a few minutes later when the police dogs tracked him down to a nearby garden. He still resisted arrest, threatening the officers with a knife, but was quickly subdued, disarmed and arrested. Nicholas Vernage was given 5 life sentences and remains in prison to this day. This is the Strand. At the end of the Strand you can find the Aldwych, a crescent that leads into Fleet Street. The Indian High Commission can be found at the bottom of some steps leading from the main road and into India Place, which then runs into Montreal Place. It is outside the Indian High Commission that we can find the memorial to DC Jim Morrison. The murder of DC Morrison remains unsolved to this day, and the police have no firm suspects or leads and only a sketchy description of the murderer. DC Jim Morrison was off duty on the evening of 13th of December 1991 and was out to meet up with his wife for a meal in Covent Garden. He was in plain clothes when he spotted a man carrying a briefcase and acting suspiciously outside the London Transport Museum. DC Morrison had been involved in investigating a series of thefts from pubs in the area and became suspicious as the briefcase did not suit the man carrying it. He identified himself as a police officer and challenged the man. The suspect pulled a knife, threatened him, and then ran. DC Morrison gave chase and caught up with the suspect here in India Place. The suspect turned, stabbed him 3 times in the chest, and then ran off. DC Morrison died a short time later in St Bart's Hospital. He was 26 years old. The police believe that the culprit was part of a gang of bag snatchers that had been targeting pubs in the Covent Garden area, and the briefcase was one of the stolen items. The perpetrator has been described by witnesses as of North African appearance, possibly Algerian, and 27 to 30 years old. The case is still open, and the police are still regularly testing DC Morrison's clothing and some other items left at the scene as forensic science advances in the hope that a new lead will arise. If you have any information that could lead to the arrest of DC Morrison's killer, please contact the police on the details on the bottom of the screen. This is Cato Road in Clapham, southwest London, and this is the memorial to PC Patrick Dunn, who lost his life in the line of duty 20th of October 1993 at the age of 44 years old. PC Dunn had cycled to a house in Cato Road, number 28, to attend a domestic dispute when he heard gunshots coming from a house opposite, number 31. He was in full uniform and therefore was easily identifiable as a police officer. He was also unarmed. As he emerged from number 28, he was shot in the chest by a man who was leaving number 31. The man who shot him, Gary Lloyd Nelson, had just murdered another man, William Danso, at number 31, who he had felt had disrespected him, and then turned his gun on PC Dunn as soon as he saw that he was a police officer. Nelson, who was with 2 accomplices, was finally convicted of these murders 13 years later in 2006 and sentenced to life in prison with a minimum tariff of 35 years. Thanks for watching. In our next video, we'll look at the memorial to the highest ranking officer in this series to lose their life in the line of duty. We'll also look at the story of 2 officers who lost their lives whilst trying to arrest suspects.